Okay, this is part 2 of our educational series of the Metalogix external fixation revolution system here. Today we're going through each of our trays, dissecting them and going through each of their components and talking about the ways that we can leverage some of the unique features of the system in order to make some unique constructs and treat a variety of pathologies. So here now we have our variety of plates. So if you direct your attention over here, you'll see our end plates, which is our workhorse for our tibial block. They come in a variety of sizes here, from our smallest being 120 millimeters to our largest being approximately 220 millimeters. And these are used in a variety of sizes. They can be funneled as well as used and placed in different orientations for specific trauma indications. Next, we have our J plates. And as you can see, they are in the shape of a J. The benefit of the J plate is that in significant areas of trauma or soft tissue that is compromised, the J plate can wrap around without completely extending around the area that you're trying to protect, allowing for a variety of configurations and unique features. Next, we go to our foot plates, which again range from 120 to 220, and these can be used in a variety of ways in Charcot reconstruction, traumatic injury, static external fixation, and then lastly we have our C plates, which if you compare them to our J plate is an even wider and more oblique angle, again for more specifically for trauma indications and in areas where we're trying to immobilize and protect soft tissue. Okay, here's our next set of trays. On this side we have the wires and the apex pins. And if you look at our wires, they come with several types of drill tips. One is the drill tip here, followed next by a spade tip. And each has their own use and benefits, but one of the unique features of the system is the drill tip wire, which being cold forged and cutting into bone more smoothly does reduce the risk of heat necrosis when going into bone. These are on both our smooth wires and our truss wires. Here's an example of a truss wire here, and as you can see in the truss wires, they are labeled with laser etchings on the side in which the BB is inserted into the bone. This one is a drill-tipped truss wire. We also have spade-tipped truss wires. A very interesting and useful feature of this system is the centrally threaded half pin, which is usually used in our linear external fixation sets, but is also offered in this set to be connected to our foot plate and other aspects of our fixator. Again, this is our self-drilling tip, and that comes in a range from 6 millimeters to 4 millimeters. In terms of the remainder of our half pins, they come in this set in their own caddy, and they vary in range from 6 millimeters to 4 millimeters. Drill bits corresponding for each size, 4.7, 3.5, and 2.9 for 6, 5, and 4 respectively. There are short thread patterns and long thread patterns. Here's an example of a long thread pattern, and then farther forward in the tray I'll show you an example of a short thread pattern, which is right here. And those can be used for a variety of things in bones which are particularly wide, where a significant amount of the pin is going to be purchasing the bone. We want a long thread pattern, and correspondingly, in which only a small part of the bone is going to be purchased, we want a short thread pattern. So moving on to our next tray here. This is our tray in which we use some of our tools to attach these things to the external fixator. So we've got 4 sets of box wrenches, both with a socketed side as well as open side. Again, each of these correspond to 10 millimeters for each of our bolts. We have our right angle wrench here that can be used for wrenching in tight places. These are our trocar sheaths and soft tissue guides for our pin placement and drill placement, and you can see they are labeled 4, 5, and 6 depending on the diameter in which you're going to drill at, with a corresponding trocar, which can be used to penetrate the soft tissue or to be used to access the periosteal bone, and there are 2 of those. Next, we have a wrenched T-handle here for clamping onto the outside of our half pin to finish off bicortical purchase on our half pins by hand tightness, which is often the preferred method for doing so. And then lastly, we've got our wired tensioners. As you can see, it's a pretty standard wire tensioner that I'll show you can clip onto the frame and then tighten all the way down, 2 hands, and then quick release. And there are 2 of those so that they can be tensioned simultaneously. Okay, here is our next section of the set, and first we'll be looking at our 4-foot bridges, which range in lengths from 220 to 120 and can be ordered at special and design lengths with extras here, as we see in our accessory tray. These correspond with also our hold posts, 1 all the way to 5 hold posts, which can be used for adjustment of wire angles and pins as needed. Additional and spare posts here in our live tray. Next, we have our plate extenders for when we have situations in which the diameter of the tibial block exceeds or is less than the diameter of the foot plate. And over here, we have our struts, small, medium, long, and extra long struts. And we'll do a special video on the dynamic features of those struts. Next, we have our threaded rods, which we've shown in our previous video can be used to connect our components of our external fixator. And lastly, we have our male and female half hinges, which can be used to create movement in planes as needed, which we will go through when we talk about building our arthros diastasis external fixator. Moving over to this tray, again, this is our accessory tray, which has a variety of 4-foot bridges, as well as extenders and several threaded rods. Next are our speed nuts, which are very adept at securing the wires in places which are particularly tight, such as when a wire imposes directly on a strut or a threaded rod. We've got our pin caps here for all variety sizes of our pins, as well as our washers, which can go up directly against the skin and help protect the soft tissue envelope. Next, we've got some conical washers here, which can be used to funnel the external fixator from a wide diameter on the proximal tibial block to a smaller diameter on the distal tibial plate, as well as our direct connect bolts of various lengths and sizes, which can be used to directly connect our 4-foot posts and or our 1 through 5 hole posts directly to the fixator. Next, these are our... Okay, here's our next tray, a tray that's going to be used very often, and these are our wire fixation bolts and corresponding nuts. So this is a wire fixation bolt, and as you can see, there is a notch for where the wire is placed and goes in. These are in varying lengths, so that they can be stacked with washers or attached to posts. Next is our half pin clamps, again of varying lengths, and the half pin is placed through this slot and then screwed down onto the fixator. Corresponding speed nuts and our stainless steel nuts here, followed by our wing nuts. So these are for areas in which mechanical advantages need to close down. They are both with nuts and bolts. A significant advantage of the fixator, these are your standard washers here. And then also your stoppers. These stoppers would be for half pins. These stoppers would be for wires. And then lastly, we've got an assortment of hinges here. These are all female hinges. Male hinges are available in the remainder of the main tray.